Welcome to the Root of All Broth, the show where we talk about the inspirations behind the foods that we cook. I'm Kathleen Hill, and if you're like me, this week has been really hard. We're going on over a month in quarantine, and I didn't even know if I was going to be up for this episode or not, and then a really great memory hit me, and it was about my sister. When we were young and we would run out of something to eat at night and she was hungry, she didn't have any dip in the refrigerator, she would make her own dip. And so I thought, what a fun way to kind of honor my sister and get ourselves out of this rut, to reinvent the dip that she would make. So that's what I'm doing this week, and our inspiration this week is innovation and necessity. So join me for a great cheese and mustard fondue dip inspired by my sister Jennifer. So let me start to tell you about our inspiration dip. The inspiration dip that my sister would make, she would start with French's mustard in a bowl, and then a piece of American cheese, and put that on top, and put that in the microwave, and eat it with corn chips. And it sounds weird, but mustard and cheese is a really great combination. And when she would eat it, I would get super jealous because it looked really good and it looked better than anything I could come up with. So when reinventing this dip, I started to think, well, what can we use to reinvent this dip? She uses American cheese. I didn't want to use American cheese, but I still wanted to use melty cheeses. So I selected Swiss and Munster because they go really well with yellow mustard. So I have half a pound of Munster and a half a pound of Swiss, and I've mixed in 3/4 of a tablespoon of flour with each. And then I have, of course, 2 tablespoons of yellow mustard, 1 large clove of garlic chopped, and 1 cup of wine. And then my secret ingredient at the end is some nutmeg, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So we're going to start with the wine, and I'm using our fondue pot that we've used before for other recipes. If you're interested in other fondue recipes, we do have a great Black Forest fondue recipe that I'll put the link to that here in the video. But we are going to be using this. You can use a regular pot on the stove on low. You just have to watch that. I'm going to set this on 3 to let this heat up, and between 3 and 4. And then I'm going to go ahead and put in my white wine. I'm using Barefoot Chardonnay. And I'm going to bring that to a boil. And so if you're doing this on the stovetop, you just want to bring that to a boil very slowly. And then you're going to add in your garlic. So you can see our wine is boiling. We're going to add in our garlic. And we're going to let that kind of infuse that white wine, that Chardonnay. And that was a very big clove. So if you're using a small clove, you're going to want to use 2 of them. So I'm going to cut this down to 3, cut it down a little bit lower, and then I'm going to add my mustard. You could use dry mustard, but because I'm recreating my sister's awesome dip, I wanted to use the same ingredients she used. Okay, so we're just going to whisk around here that mustard and get integrated there with our wine. And this is going to go real fast. So if you're doing the stovetop, just make sure that you're whisking at all times when you start to add your cheeses. So we've got this right here on between 3 and 4. And I'm going to start with my Munster. And I'm going to go ahead and just start putting that in. You're going to see this is going to be really nice melty cheese. And I designed this dip to go with tortilla chips. But then when I added the nutmeg, guys, it kicked it up to a whole new level, and we just decided to do a traditional fondue. So we have bread. So if you want dip, stop. Don't use the nutmeg. Here comes the Swiss cheese. Here it goes, guys. Ooh, delicious. Delicious. We're almost there, if you can believe it. This is so fast. Look how beautiful that is. All right. So like I said, if you want a dip for your tortilla chips, stop right here, And we're going to set this down on the serving temperature, which on this is 3. Look how beautiful that is. So, let me get my tortilla chips. Perfect for tortilla chips. Beautiful, look at that. Doesn't that look great, guys? Always reminds me of my sister too, because we were true to that mustard and cheese combination. Killer. Now, I don't know if you're like me, but I love fondue and I love bread. So what do you have in your house? You have tortilla chips? Stop here. You have bread? Let's go to the next step. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of nutmeg. I'm going to bump that heat up a little bit more so we're starting to melt again so we can integrate that nutmeg really well into there. This would be so nice if you're in the mountains, sitting, looking over the beautiful snowy peaks, have some beautiful fresh bread. Oh guys, this is a beautiful fall recipe here. So for summertime with your tortilla chips, don't use the nutmeg. But if you want to kick it up a notch in the winter, ooh, this is the way to do it. All right, so now I've turned it down to our serving temperature again. And I'm gonna get our bread. Okay, so I chose 2 types of bread for my fondue. This is a brown bread. You can use pumpernickel, whatever you like. And there's also French bread in there. Cover that beautiful piece of bread with that cheese, guys. Look at that. Honey, you try it. Absolutely delicious. Jen, I think of you when I eat this. And you know what? You don't get the calories and I do. I love you, sis. What do you think, honey?
Good.
Good. Well, from our house to yours, I hope you get through this period with a little bit of fun and think of your own recipes that you can cook. And I hope that you are spending time on FaceTime with your family, getting on Zoom, talking to your colleagues, and just enjoying this time that we have together. Come back next time for another recipe, and I look forward to seeing you then.